We have four. All set. All right, good evening. My name is Joshua Warnig, Chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals for Wayland. It is 7:01. We have four members in the room here. We'll introduce once we read the preamble here, but let me get through that. This is the September 12th, 2023 Zoning Board of Appeals hearing. The preamble, which I'll read: one may watch or participate remotely with a meeting link that can be found at providing a URL in the agenda, which I will not read. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted in person and via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This meeting may be recorded, which will be made available to the public on Waycam as soon as after the meeting as is practicable. When required by law or allowed by the chair, persons wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so by in-person attendance if allowed, or by accessing the meeting remotely as noted above. We request public comment be limited to 2 minutes per person. Everyone in attendance should be aware the face masks are now optional for town buildings according to the new face covering guidance dated February 24th, 2022, again providing a URL for which I will not read, but is provided in the agenda. And with that, Hunter, I'm not sure if I got an opportunity to properly welcome you to the board since I was absent at the last meeting. I did watch the last meeting. I understand I did welcome you at that time, but I just wanted to say a hearty welcome to you. So in the room here, we have Hunter Perry, Shant Sarian, myself, the chair, Joshua Warnig, and Doug Levine walking in at the moment. And online, let me just pull up into the Zoom here. It appears that we have Aida Janice. And so we have 5 members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I'm not sure, did you talk to Tom White and whether he was attending?
Didn't talk to Tom. You didn't hear from him, did you?
I know that Adam Hirsch will not be in attendance tonight, so I do know that.
I don't believe Tom's gonna be there.
And Tom's not gonna be here,
I
I
think
think.
he said to mention that last meeting he would be here.
Okay. I think that was Adam, because I just watched last meeting, like literally about an hour ago. It was fascinating, riveting. So I think Tom was going to be here at the last meeting because we talked about Mullinization, and making sure that we had a certain quorum. I know that I did watch it. I have not filled out the Mullins form, but I don't believe for the 4th, I would not need to Mullinize anyways. Okay. So we'll take it as it comes. We have enough members of the board to open and proceed. So we'll first open it up to, it being 7:04, we'll open it for the 7 p.m. public comment. See if anybody has public comment on items not related to the hearings on schedule for tonight. Do we have anybody in house here that has public comment wishing to be heard? Hearing none, we will move to, I'm just trying to pull up. I cannot seem to get my screen up for Zoom here. Oh, there it is. Okay, and do we have anybody online? We have 0 attendees online.
Yeah, 0.
Okay, wonderful. This will make things pretty easy then. So moving on, we'll close public comment. We have a number of meeting minutes to accept. Has everybody reviewed the meeting minutes from June 13th, June 15th, June 28th, July 11th, and July 13th? I didn't. I was away. You were away. Okay. You have.
Set.
I have as well. Aida, have you had a chance to review those?
I read them all, yes.
Okay. We have 4 members that are willing and able to have read that, so I think that's enough to actually review and accept the meeting minutes, correct? Yeah. Any discussion before we do on any of the meeting minutes? Okay, I didn't have any comment either. Nobody else? Okay, wonderful. I would move that we accept and approve all the meeting minutes on the agenda that have been that's so before us.
Mr. Chair, can I ask you a question?
Please, Ms. Jones.
So the agenda for tonight does not list the meeting minute approval on it. as an action, does that affect our ability to do this?
Well, it would, except I'm looking at the meeting notice for September 12th, 2023 posted online. And it does in fact say review / accept minutes,
Perfect.
July 23.
Okay.
July 15th,
I print-
2023.
Okay, I printed it and it didn't have that, so,
It's an
That's why I'm asking.
updated version. It's an
Yeah.
updated version of the agenda.
And maybe that's been
Great.
posted in accordance with all the rules that we need
Great.
to. Okay, but I think we're absolutely fine.
We're done.
So
Okay.
I think we can do a collective,
Yeah, I would just list the dates.
okay, so again, I move that we accept the minutes of June 13th, 2023, June 15th, 2023, June 28th, 2023, July 11th, 2023, and July 13th, 2023. As forwarded to us with no revisions.
Second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Levine. We'll take this by roll call vote. Mr. Barrett.
Aye.
Mr. Sarian. Yes. Mr. Levine.
Aye.
Ms. Janice.
aye.
Myself, the chair, Joshua Warnig, aye, passes unanimously. So forth. I have no topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair, 48 hours in advance of the meeting, if any.
Oh,
So with that, I think we're ready to roll. Give me 1 second as I just organize my screen. And just to confirm, Manny, the notice for this meeting was published and served upon interested parties as required by law. Yes. Yes, okay, wonderful. And just to set the ground rules, testimony, following hearings will be limited to the issues directly related to the subject matter of the hearings. Only one person will be permitted to talk at a time. All discussions will go through myself, the chair. All parties will be expected to conduct themselves civilly. Argument between the parties will not be permitted, and the proceeding is being recorded, and the recording is being preserved on Wacom there. So with that, we are going to move into our first hearing at 7:08 p.m. and we're ready for the 7:05 p.m. application of Henry McLean, applicant on behalf of Elizabeth Demers and Ralph Pellmeyer, owner, to construct a single-family dwelling with an in-law suite within a new connecting barn / garage while remaining an existing home and utilizing existing barn during construction. Existing home and barn to be removed after construction. The property is located at 23B Bayfield Road, which is in the R20 zoning district, case number 23-15. I hope I got everybody's pronunciation of names correctly, but who do we have here on behalf of the applicant?
Right here, myself and my wife and architect are all here in attendance.
Well,
Yeah, thanks.
welcome. And just, could we just introduce names so I.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm Henry McLean, the architect.
I'm Ralph Pallmeyer, this is my wife.
Rose
Elizabeth
Demers.
Demers.
Excellent, excellent, nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, fantastic. So tell me a little bit about what you're looking to do here today.
Sure, we moved to Wayland, in December. We bought, Molly Upton's home at 23B Bayfield Road. We are planning to, do some work to expand the living space. On the property today is a barn and an existing home. We're in the existing home right now. And we plan to expand the barn a little bit to build an in-law suite. And we're requesting a special permit to keep our existing home on the property there, so we can live at the home while we build this in-law suite. And then at the completion of the in-law suite, we plan to build a new home on the property. And so we're requesting a special permit to, as I mentioned, keep our existing home there while we build both new structures, at which point we'll tear down, the barn and the existing home. The reasons for this permit is, we're planning to expand the family, where my wife is pregnant, so we're expecting a child in December. We're also planning to get a dog and plan to be Wayland residents for a long time. And we were hoping not to have to uproot and move somewhere else so that we can remain here in Wayland and be there while the construction is happening. We've spoken to all of our neighbors about this project. We have 2 letters of support, one from Lucy Midler, who's actually here right now, who lives in 23C Bayfield Road. On one side of this, we also have a letter of support from Beverly Daniels, who lives at 23A Bayfield Road, also adjacent to us.
Okay,
Thank you.
that was a mouthful. First of all, congratulations on, child, expecting child, and dog, expecting dog. It can,
And here are the, I know Deb Daniels, she's mentioned that she dropped it off to somebody here, but I have the 2 letters of support.
wonderful, yeah, we'll take those.
Thanks.
We'll make sure if they get into the file, if they're not already in the file. Okay, wonderful. Somebody on the board, maybe catch me up on, this is the matter that was, withdrawn and refiled. I watched that on the recording, but what was the technical issue?
We had an issue with the description. Yeah, correct. The synopsis.
Oh, okay, so the published description. Okay, so in part, I'm asking because I want to make sure that the paper materials that I have in front of me.
Paper commissioners are.
Okay, yeah, okay, so wonderful. And that was a lot going on there. So what are we seeking specifically for relief today? Is this, I'm trying to find it. It's a 2-part special permit. Is that what we're looking for?
Right, yeah.
Um,
I might be able to help a little bit with the
Yeah,
plan. Sure. So you all have received these plans and I'm just take you to the overall site plan to kind of get you oriented. But this is the current house right now where they're living.
Yes.
We're essentially looking to build this new building and this new building, leaving up the existing barn as a shed for the contractor. But once these 2 buildings are complete, we want to take this down and take down the old house. We're also bringing in a new road that sort of extends off the existing road. And just for a little further complication, there's an existing 200-foot easement that runs through the site. We've had Darren McCauley from the Board of Health review this with test pits that were just done on the site with the surveyor, the civil engineer. And we also have a fellow who's a tree specialist who's worked with Ralph and Liz, who've gone through all the trees on the site and met with Linda at the Conservation Commission, and they're all en route to get us in line for a Conservation Commission hearing, which we need to go for probably in another month.
Okay,
But
and that doesn't need to hold up this process.
correct,
Right. I just quick question about the MWRA tunnel.
Yeah.
Here, all permits and everything been done with, on that side of,
well, there was
Good deal.
concern that basically there was an earlier septic system that was designed by Molly Upton. It turned out it was right on top of this. And when Ralph and Liz inherited the house and that plan, it was brought to the attention by the surveyor that the original civil engineer didn't know about it. And as a result, that's having to be moved.
yeah,
So he's redesigning the system for this 7-bedroom house, which we've already had verified with the Board of Health. So they've ruled that this is a 7-bedroom system. And we're going to be designing a new 7-bedroom system, basically up here a little bit where some of these trees are actually in bad shape. And Linda's already reviewed these, they're coming out.
Okay.
So that system can go in without a hitch.
because we're in wetlands or we're in the buffer zone?
Well, we're not in wetlands, we're not the buffer zone. This is the pond right here. This is Dudley Pond right out here.
Yeah.
And we have a 100-foot setback that we're paying attention to for impervious purposes with Linda at the Conservation Commission on that and all the trees. But there are some other trees out here. There's a bunch of trees on the property that have not really been well tended to over the years. And so she's basically given her blessing to take down the trees that need to come
Does she have
down.
jurisdiction over that area?
Well, this is all their property. Oh, well, no, you mean because it's
The
outside the
Concom,
100
I'm talking about the Concom.
Not really,
Okay.
but she's,
But we're consulting with them anyway.
we are, we want to be on
Yes,
better,
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out
yeah.
technically whether
point.
it's,
Yeah.
okay. Understood. That's helpful. And, the special permit that we're looking for here. Seek a two-part special permit, part one for the in-law apartment pertaining to. Okay.
Yeah.
Part two.
And if I can just further explain one thing here, I passed out and I had to send in afterwards through Manny, I believe, on the 20% rule. Because we're not allowed to go over 20% with the in-law apartment for habitable space, and so I've done an analysis of those floors, which I gave you in 8.5 by 11s. I don't know if these got circulated or not, but have you guys seen these? So these are the plans of the house. Just making sure that we're under that 20%, which we are, because we're about 18% for the in-law, habitable space of the in-law unit. Which is going into the second floor of the barn. So this is basically those two buildings. And this is the first floor with the garage and some spaces that are essentially going to be used for Ralph and Liz will be using part of this building, but the second floor is the in-law apartment essentially.
And I'm not sure I have those. I'm looking at my supplemental documents online here.
I can pass this along.
Yeah, it'd be helpful to take a peek to see that. Maybe I'm missing it because I'm just looking quickly here. You have those? Okay. Do we have Board of Health approval at this juncture?
Well, no, because they've basically been telling us that we want to get through this process first. We've also got the engineers working to complete all their work.
Okay.
And so we're hoping that we're in line, like I say, with all the requirements that, as I mentioned, Darren has been out to the site and confirmed the test pits that the land is going to drain fine for the septic. And we've actually confirmed the groundwater where the new building is going. So we know how deep that basement can be.
This came around.
This did
in
come around?
August, yeah.
Okay.
And those might have come out by email, yeah?
I mean,
Yeah.
typically, we do want to see Board of Health approval before we're able to render final decision at the zoning board. Concom, we don't have to wait for. Board of Health, we do have to wait for typically, and we'd like to see that approval. I mean, that's historically how we've, always.
Okay,
So I think that, I just want to flag that, quickly here.
Yeah.
I apologize if that hadn't been flagged, at the August meeting. I'm not sure how in depth. I don't think we even got into the substance at that juncture. But I think, we're probably headed towards a continuance, tonight. In order to facilitate Board of Health approval first, in the package. So I just want to manage expectations.
okay,
But we'll get as far as we can tonight, so
Sure.
hopefully that can expedite the process, at a future hearing.
I mean, the issues.
One question, I mean, but there is an existing septic on the property right now.
It won't be servicing the new structure,
It won't be servicing the new structure.
correct, because that's coming out because it's on top of the MWRA aqueduct or.
No, that was the new proposed. The existing system is actually much closer to the house.
Yes, yeah.
So that will be coming out as
So
well.
regardless, yeah,
Yeah, regardless, though, it's gonna be part and parcel of the new property, right, the new design of the
Yeah.
property, so
Yeah.
it's the approval of the Board of Health approval of the new septic system that's gonna service your new structure, because we're permitting, in essence, I guess, two things. And I see the building commissioner, back here, but just to clarify, the way I'm reading the application here, in the way you see this, Mr. Commissioner, not to put words in your mouth, but you're seeing a permit for their continued use of the existing structure during construction, number one. Okay,
That's correct.
and then we're gonna be permitting a special permit for the new structure.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so I got you. And,
For the in-law unit.
just for the in-law unit, not for,
In-law and their new house attached to that. That'll be one building.
Right,
Yes.
okay.
You're right, combined.
All right, and just, forgive me here, just trying to look quickly. Is it, because the percentage of increase of gross floor area is what's kicking this into special permit territory?
Yes.
Okay, but there are no other setback issues or
No,
other nonconformities that were, okay. So that's solely why we're here, because of the percentages increase, okay. Understood. Good. Talked a lot here. Does anybody else on the board have any quick questions before we get too much farther into this?
I don't have any. I was here at this hearing. The only technicality was about keeping the house that they're gonna move until they dismantle, but, you know, there was a support for that, but, you know, that would be, okay, no problem with it. And
How many direct butters do you guys have? Is it just the two that you've gotten the letters of support from, or there are other butters?
I believe there's
they're 5,
five.
I think there's these 5 properties down here.
23A and 23C are our closest abutters that would be closest to the project.
Okay,
Just to point out, one thing that the new house, as you can see it on this plan here, is actually moving further away from all the butters. So it's up here, and basically they're going to have a lot more open space.
what's behind the property?
This is a big hill up here, and then there's the pond, and then there's the.
Wayland Aqueduct Trail.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Great. Did you reach out to all the neighbors across the front, or just the two closest? I'm just curious. There's not that as a requirement, but we'd love to hear, you know, people being neighborhood.
I believe 2 of our neighbors are here, and one of them's been unreachable.
Okay. Great. Anybody express any opposition?
Not that-
All right. Good. Anybody else on the board have any questions here? I guess maybe before we do that, just moving from the existing structure, how many bedrooms does the existing structure have? And how many are we proposing to?
The existing structure has 3 bedrooms, and then we're planning to,
It'll be 6 official bedrooms,
Okay.
4 in the main structure, 2 in the in-law suite.
Oh, okay, cool. Good.
How many bathrooms?
Yes, Ms. Johnson.
How many bathrooms?
There are, I think, 6 or 7, I can keep counting. But it was, as we submitted this a while ago to the Board of Health, and they gave us a heads up that it would be a 7-bedroom septic system that we need to put in. So that's already been established, I think, determined.
Okay, and I'm sorry, did I miss the bathroom count?
It's less than that. I think it's 6, but for the reasons of expansion, they suggested we go with a 7.
No, I understand that. I'm just looking for clarification on the record.
I'm just counting real quick.
It's like one of the new proposed basements.
You know what, it's on that drawing that I just handed you all right there. Just I was looking for it, yeah. Yeah, there's one in the basement, a full bath, and then there are,
I believe it's 6.5.
6.5, okay. You've already found, okay, good.
So is that 1 in the in-law or 1.5 in the in-law?
Actually,
Proposed?
in the in-law, there's one downstairs, but it's not really part of the in-law. There's just one one bathroom in the in-law. There's a half bath in that building next to the garage, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 in the main house and a half bath.
So 4.5 in the main bath, 1/2 on the first floor of the barn, and a full bath on the second floor in the in-law
That's right.
of the barn. Okay,
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing on the plans, Aida. Aida, maybe since you've been on the board for a while, or Sean, garages, Isn't there something about garages, going beyond, 2 bays? Isn't there like a,
No, maximum was 3.
the next one's? I just remembered we had a garage case not too long ago, but that was 4, okay.
Joshua, is the commissioner there?
He is. Mr. Commissioner, yes, just for clarification on the garage, it's maximum of 3 in town.
Maximum of actually 4, because you can have a detached garage as well,
Okay. Gotcha.
as long as it fits on the lawn.
I see. But maximum of 3 attached?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Other questions, for the applicants, from the board? Can we maybe talk a little bit about just the architectural design? Just
Sure.
give me a little overview of kind of, what the concept is and.
Yeah,
Here,
well,
on just,
we're
just for
looking.
the record.
Sure, we're looking to do what's called a net zero energy house. There's gonna be a lot of solar on it. It's gonna be very well insulated. The style is really sort of a New England, I wanna say bungalow. It's not, it's designed to fit into the landscape and to basically bring in some sort of, modern but also contemporary imaging. I think in the 4th sheet of the big set of plans, there's a series of 3D drawings that you can see. Give you an idea of the look of both the barn. We're trying to identify the barn as a separate building. It'll be sort of more than batten, more of a, when I say barn, garage, in-law building that's connected by a low covering, pergola, and then basically that ties into the main house, which has a big wraparound porch and a an open deck in the back, but also tied into a 4-season porch. There's a conventional chimney, but it'll be wood burning, but it'll also be, efficient with doors, so that it basically we're gonna be very conscious of energy use in this whole project, so. That helps a little.
Yeah, it certainly does. And just the house that's, the existing house that's being, raised,
Yeah,
what's the, when was that built?
sure, it was in the 50s as a slab on grade. Ralph and Liz have been working with a contractor who's actually gonna be doing the work, Larry Gar. He was involved before I came on board, but after talking to Larry about the costs of renovating that building and bringing it up to speed energy wise, it seemed more sensible to put that money towards a new building. This building has sort of lived its life. And Ralph and Liz are pretty excited about the fact that it's I think that you worked on thinking about renovating that for a while and it just didn't make sense.
It's 1957 to be specific.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Great. I think that's the questions that I have right now. I don't know, Doug,
What is the timing on Board of Health process and approval? Do you know
Well,
when the next meeting is?
we're trying to keep things moving with the civil engineer who's now got to do a whole, program to do the the septic and also the drainage on the property. And tie all that together with his findings and get in line. So we're hoping that we can get in next month, late next month.
Okay, just one thing to note, and as Henry mentioned earlier, so there was the prior owner, Molly Upton, had a 5-bedroom septic system approved. The only issue was that the septic system was on top of this easement. The Board of Health approved it, and then when the Board of Health realized that there was an easement there, when we were going through our process, they revoked it. So our plan is just to move it, I don't know, let's say 50 or so, 75 feet further away, from the, from where the barn is. In this little tree grove that I think is noted on there. And expanded to 7 bedrooms, so I think, you know, that's in process, it should be done. Well, I think it's been designed and they're working out a couple, things on the, you know, survey, plot plan. But ultimately, I think we'll be looking to submit it as soon as possible.
That revocation that came from the Board of Health happened just in June, so that set them back a couple months.
Yeah,
You know, because we were thinking, just gonna add on to it, and so that took a while going back and forth to make sure that, you know, in fact, we had to get rid of that, and I mean, again, the Board of Health did approve it and had to disapprove it.
Understood. So, but that design of that septic was for the existing house.
Correct.
And then the plan would have been, okay, we're gonna build a new house, so we're gonna expand upon that design and.
That's right.
But utilize, okay, and now they've revoked it because, understood. Yeah,
That's right, that's right.
Yeah,
We're working with the same group, same civil engineer who designed the one that had been approved, but we're just gonna be moving it a bit further away, and expand it. 7 bedroom.
And you can see on that little plot plan that I think is one of the drawings here that with the photos, it's actually about equidistant from the original house. This was the original septic, right on top of it. We superimpose this afterwards.
Mm.
And so it's going over here, so it's actually gonna be a little closer to the house. That should be a good thing.
But like you said before, the whole house is gonna be shifting away from the neighbors.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
So, let me just, quick question here, so it says it shows a frontage of 695, but this doesn't actually have frontage, would that be correct, Mr. Commissioner?
Yes.
Okay, so, because there's an easement going across, so we're here because of lack of frontage and the percentage.
Yes.
Okay, just because I need to be able to note that for the record. Yeah. In whatever decision we might have, just to be clear, not that that's determinative of one thing or another, okay.
There's documentation in there related to the lack of frontage, a previous ZBA decision, that the previous owner did research on, so it is an approved buildable lot. Despite the lack of frontage, so we included all that documentation.
No, I appreciate that, and actually looking through the application here and the materials that you submitted both before and since, I do commend you for a solid package. Sometimes we're challenged to recreate and to create a history from which to be able to write a decision. So I do appreciate all the work in pulling all this together. It's gonna make our jobs a lot easier. And for some, in some reasons, this is, don't take any indication from my questioning, you know, about which way we might decide here. But to build a proper record, I just need to make sure we get it factually correct so that you have the decisions, you know, that will be appropriate and defendable in the future, if that makes sense. But with that said, anybody else on the board have specific questions they want to address at this time?
What makes in terms of time?
Well,
seems a little more on the Board of Health.
yeah, I mean, I kind of want to maybe, since we do have some people here, you know, that have come in specifically to speak on, you know, on behalf or of the project, I want to make sure we get public comment and you get any people that are here either in support or in opposition on the record, so they can either come or not come at a subsequent hearing. But what's clear, and I think what we're discussing now, is what might make sense for timing for you. You know, because we're gonna need that Board of Health approval before we can move forward.
However, Josh, I don't remember in this 16 years that, you know, we even heard an application that didn't have the Board of Health approval. I mean, I have no problem with all the plans that's now, you know, they presented and everything. But as far as like, you know, if you're gonna approve the, or like, so, issue a permit, I would be hesitant to do that.
Oh, I'm suggesting we don't issue a permit. What I'm suggesting is that we would give a continuance so they can get the proper
Well,
documentation into place,
yes.
you know,
I guess the question I have is there a way to do a conditional approval of just the part that has to do with the zoning?
We never did it.
Never do.
yeah, that's, it's.
Even though it's, you know, that's separate and apart from all the issues that have to do with the with the board.
You know, I think it's so integral to the part and parcel of the design that we're gonna be approving.
Yeah.
You know, Conservation Commission has been historically one area that we've not had to wait for, and we have not waited for. We've let that take a separate process. But since I've been on the board for three and a half years, and certainly you have a much greater history than I do in AIDA as well. I don't think there is a case that I know of that we've ever moved forward on a conditional approval from the Board of Health. And I'm not sure I'm comfortable based, you know,
Yeah.
to be able to do so.
And that's for the drainage and the septic. And the order of conditions that basically is being produced by the civil engineer.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you certainly want to understand drainage, you know, those are always, important concerns as well when something's being, you know, permitted in front of us. But, you know, certainly we're gonna need to see that septic and make sure the Board of Health has full sign off.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's historically, any case that's come before us that has not had Board of Health approval, we've sought to not kick the case and dismiss the case, you know, without prejudice, so you have to refile. No, what we'd like to do rather is work with you, make sure you don't have to go through that filing process again, but go get your ducks in a row, get the documents you need, come back, and you know, hopefully, the hearing is mature enough, since we're trying to gather the information now, that the process might be a little more efficient the next time you come in. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does anybody on the board see it differently than I do? Okay. Wonderful. So unless you guys, you know, have something more to share, I would, intend to maybe open it up to public comment, in favor and opposition, see what we have. And then we can maybe turn to maybe scheduling and talking about, what makes sense for you guys at the time.
Yeah, my only question, are there any other sort of issues having to do with, zoning that we should be concerned with at this point, or?
You know,
Outside of,
you're starting to satisfy most of my questions that I'm asking, you know. You know, I think I always love to have Tom White here from the architectural standpoint, our resident architect on the board. But I, you know, wanted to elicit some of that discussion,
sure,
you know, tonight, just to understand the concept and how that is. You know, I think from the massing standpoint, you know, we're certainly gonna get into discussions, you know, once we close the hearing. You know, but I think it's all positive that you're moving further away from a lot of the existing structures, right? And dealing with some of these issues. And I think if we can understand and get the Board of Health approvals in place, get the right documentations. Because by all right, we shouldn't even be looking at the application without a Board of Health approval. You know, but you know.
you understand we were set back by the process when we had the previous one.
Listen, I'm not trying to dispute any process issues you might have or timing issues you might have. I'm just saying, by all right, you know, the zoning board of appeals in Wayland does not look at applications without the Board of Health approval.
But you would on the Conservation Commission, or is that something that you'd be waiting for too?
We're not waiting for that. We can condition that. Yeah, yeah, that's a separate process for which we're not waiting for.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but Board of Health will. So with that, I'd like to open it up to public comment. You know, first of all, open up to anybody in the room that wants to, you know, speak for or against the project. Hearing none, we can move on to online if we have anybody that wants to be heard. You know, we have one person. Oh, we have somebody in the room. Yes, please.
Plans last week and they.
Hold on. So just for the record, I need you to state your name and your address.
Megan Davies, 21 Bayfield Road.
Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry, Joe, it was last month, we saw the plans and they looked fabulous and great. I just would be curious about the septic as to where that is going, if like, or we don't know that, is that the question?
Oh, no, I think we do know that.
We do.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, maybe you want to just clarify that and maybe share for the record there.
It was here.
Mhm.
The new house is here.
Yeah.
It's further away than actually it is.
And do we have a plan that specifically shows that? Is that a plan that specifically shows the?
It's part of the photo, that series of pages has the photos on it of the property. I think you have it in your hands there, the other side.
Excellent.
Description, you see the existing proposed septic, that was the original for Molly, which was placed right on the,
Right, and then I don't have one that.
no, we don't have the new location, but it's just north of
Okay.
there.
But regardless, by the next time we come, and the next time we're hearing this,
Oh,
we'll
yes.
have the new plan.
So
So,
further from the neighbors, basically.
okay, wonderful, and I think that'll be, obviously, we'll be looking
So,
for that
the-
plan and the Board of Health approval.
With the
Yeah, so
Board of
on
Health
this,
approval and the
you're saying
location of
it'll
the
be-
septic will be updated
Further away.
rather than this one, correct?
I'm sorry, John.
The location of the septic. That
Yeah, I
is-
don't think that's been pinpointed yet.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
so we need to have that
Septic
also
will be going
location.
further over
Yep.
here, you're here.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Josh,
so. Ms. Janice,
When the public comment is finished, I'll ask a question I hadn't thought of. That's
okay,
all.
wonderful. Great. And just, in the interest of time here, any further comments by anyone? Okay, wonderful. I know we have two attendees, one attendee. I'm not hearing anybody, not seeing anybody raise their hand online. Wonderful. So Aida, the floor is yours. You wanted to ask a question?
Yeah, so thank you. My question is simply about the driveway in. Is it going to be on the same footprint or is it increasing? Or
Yes,
decreasing?
it is increasing because the house is further set back, so to get back to it, we need to add a few feet to that.
Uh-huh.
But it will, again, the existing barn that's there now, there is a drive that goes up to the existing barn and that's going to be extending from that essentially.
Okay,
Yeah, on plan S1, in the large set of plans, Aida, I think
Yeah.
you'll see the existing driveway, that portion is gonna be removed. But I think, just to clarify for the record,
Sure.
what you're suggesting is the new drive that's gonna be installed increase is not happening on the right of way, but on the property
On the property
itself.
correct.
And will be, there is a portion that is being removed from, from a pervious standpoint, Aida. And then
Yeah.
a new, longer, extended driveway, but going up straight. And I think it's pretty well documented on S1.
Yeah.
Of the, second page of the large set of plans.
right. So it's going to be increasing on the property itself, but through the right of way, it'll be the same. It's not increasing in width.
Correct.
Great.
Any other questions from the board? No. Wonderful. Yeah, I would suggest then, when are our next, when is our next meeting? October 10th? I think it's October Tuesday. This is a Tuesday.
Mhm.
That might be tight from what you guys were explaining. We can certainly put you on the agenda, and if we need to continue at that time, we can always, have a subsequent continuance, just in case you're able to, sprint across the furnace.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that.
That's usually what I would.
Does someone need to appear if no business is gonna be conducted and it's just a continuance? Are we able to handle it?
Manny, how does that work? Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, because if you know that you're not gonna be able to make it, I think the question, by Doug here is will you need to show up to the hearing here? And typically, we would say if we've given adequate notice to take it off, or,
If we've gotten a letter or an email, we have then accepted that and given a continuance.
okay. Yeah, so if you are coming up on the time frame, Manny, would you agree that's sufficient, or?
I would weigh on the side of caution and say, if they don't have the materials by that date, still have someone here on behalf, just so they can request the continuance.
Do we have any cases on for the 10th?
You have three.
We have 3. Have they been set for times?
Yes. Not yet, but they will be the first 3 cases heard, so. They will be,
Could we put this on for 7:05?
But if we get notice like a week in advance that they're just not gonna make the deadline, then we could pull it off, we could revise the agenda, right? As long as we have enough time to revise the agenda and post.
yes, because it's still continued, so yeah, we could do that. That would just be.
Or submit a letter.
Email.
Or an email, yeah. Does that make sense?
How many days in advance do you need that?
I would say a week.
A week. Yeah, so coming up on a
October
week
3rd.
beforehand, if you know you're not gonna be able to. do it.
Yeah, if it's
Let
not
us
even
know.
close.
But if it's closer in than a week that you, then we'll probably need somebody to show up and we'll try to, address the, that's fair, in an efficient manner as possible for you guys, so you don't have to sit all night.
Yeah, that's good.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that sounds good.
So, we do have to continue to a date certain and, a time certain, and I would propose, and looking for your concurrence here, October 10th at 7:05.
We do have 3 new cases, typically we do any new cases first, then the continuances. So just following previous practice, they would be at 7:25. After that.
My only concern is I do think it's gonna be tight room.
Okay.
And I do think that there's a possibility they might need a continuance.
To avoid having a late.
I
the
don't
entire
want them
meeting.
sitting here listening to me talk for however long it's gonna take to get through 3 cases. So,
Since it's not set yet, no legal has been sent
Okay.
out, so we can do that.
so would that be, does that sound fair? Okay, fantastic. So I would move that we continue the case to a date certain Tuesday, October 10th at 7:05 PM. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Levine. We'll take this by roll call vote. Ms. Janice?
Aye.
Mr. Sarin? Aye. Mr. Perry? Aye. Mr. Levine?
Aye.
Myself, the chair, Judge Warren, aye. Thank you very much. Appreciate your patience.
Do
Good
they need
luck.
to sign an extension?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And you're gonna have to sign that, the paperwork for the extension. But otherwise, good luck and hopefully you get your Board of Health approval. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Yeah. All right. It being 7:48, it seems appropriate to move on to the 7:10 PM application of Molly Nathanson to construct a deck in a non-conforming location. Insufficient rear and side setbacks on a pre-existing non-conforming lot. The property is located at 11 Parmenter Road, which is in the R40 zoning district. This is case number 23-16. Who do we have here on behalf of the applicant?
I'm Molly Nathanson, 11 Parmenter Road. This is my husband, Justin Serio.
Welcome.
Thanks,
How are you guys doing tonight?
doing okay.
Good. You want to just run us through a little bit about what you're looking for?
Yeah, so we are looking to get approval for a space to have our deck in the back corner of our lot. Just because of being on a non-conforming lot, how set back our house is, and where our cesspools, septic tank are. We don't really have a lot of space to be putting this, and our existing deck is kind of a mess and is, would not be approved again. We know that the previous owner tried to get approval to expand the deck. And that was denied just because it's, sort of over some of the pipes that go out to the cesspools. So we are looking to put this in the back corner of our lot. We already have support from the 2 abutting neighbors that are affected by this, and you'll see the signed documents from them in there. We've also reached out to everyone that was within that 300-foot radius of us, just saying what we were doing and asking anyone to reach out to us with any questions. Everyone was fine with it.
You sent an email around?
No, I have brought letters.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I just pulled up on the Google map. Here, it looks like, you have 2 direct on either side and 1 directly in back. Is that
Sorry,
correct?
neighbors?
Neighbors, yeah, butters, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, I see. And we got a frontage issue. And side yard setbacks, rear yard setbacks. Yeah. I like the overview too.
Thanks.
And again, likewise, I would actually commend your application materials as well. It's fairly easy to follow good information here,
Thank
so I
you so much.
appreciate that. It makes it much easier to do our business. And I'm just trying to understand here, okay, it looks like, we have just side yard setbacks, 9.4. That's to the shed, but we wouldn't be counting the shed, Mr. Commissioner, so the side yard setback actually would be 28.1 to the main structure, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so it looks like, at least from a side yard setback, we don't have an issue necessarily as it relates to the dwelling or special permit, but we're gonna have a side yard setback certainly for the proposed deck.
Yes.
Okay. In that existing deck that's there, was that permitted in the first place, or was that, do we know? I mean,
We moved in about 3.5 years ago and it was there, and just based on what it looks like now, my guess is it's been there for a long time.
gotcha. But at any rate, it would not be approved for its location or for replacement. So if it's touched, it has to come down and never go back up.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. I think that's, important as well. Good. And Mr. Commissioner, since you're here, let me put you on the spot. Just as far as a deck structure is concerned, how does that interrelate in the bylaws? As far as, is it the same? Are we looking at the same, normal rules and setbacks that we would normally be looking at, for the building envelope itself?
If it's connected to the house, yes.
Okay.
If it's detached, no, then it would be a accessory structure.
Okay, so we'd look at this, in the proposed as an accessory structure.
Yes.
And that would be our analysis. Okay.
And just to say, we already have Board of Health approval.
Yeah, I did note that.
Yeah.
I saw the check mark there. I hadn't gotten to the document itself, but that's always important. It's sometimes good to go second in the evening, for learning purposes on presentation, right? Approved as shown in BOH. Okay, perfect. So we've got that. And as far as accessory structures, can you refresh my memory without me having to go to the rule book on what the setbacks for accessory
Well,
structures?
depends on what zone they're in. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what zone they're in. But
They are in the R40. This one here.
off the top of my head, I believe that is 15.
I can get on.
It's probably 30 from the rear.
Okay. We just had another shed case, but it was in the front yard,
Yeah, that's right.
remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the discussion there, was whether it could be, special permitted in the front yard, and I think the answer was no. Fire analysis, we declined that, but in the backyard, I think we have a lot more flexibility,
Yes.
So I think that's a good fact for you, that we're in the backyard, not the front yard.
And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of space in our backyard, just like with where our bulkhead is. And the fact that we're supposed to be 30 feet off of the back, and our house is at its shortest distance, it's 19.3 feet.
Is this already built,
The deck,
the deck?
so we started it, yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then found out that it needed to be permitted?
yes, got some bad advice.
Okay. These things happen, obviously, it would be better if this were, the reverse.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And you said did you say you had letters of support?
Yes, yep, they should be at the end.
At the end, okay.
And those are the ones that are in that back corner. Kim and Cliff Antonell actually own the two properties that are right behind us. There's like a long skinny property that they rent out, and then there's the house that they live in is behind that, so they actually own 1 and 2 Wildflower Lane.
Oh, I see. Interesting, okay. And then you have two houses next to you on, Pimento Road.
Yes,
Okay, and you've got 9 Pimento Road. Which one would that be? Is that
the one that's on the side of the deck. The other side is 15.
okay. Gotcha. And did you reach out to 15?
Yeah, we reached out to kind of everyone in that 300-foot radius,
Yeah.
just to reach out if they had questions. We gave them actually plans of everything. This is where it's going, because we are somewhat new to the neighborhood and came in during COVID, so we also were like, we don't know a lot of you yet. We haven't met you. Hi, this is who we are.
And
This,
here's our deck.
yeah, this is what we're doing. Yeah.
Understood. Did you get any feedback one way or the other from 15?
From 15, no, not, they said that they, when I talked to them, they said that they were not going to oppose it. They said,
Okay.
we're not gonna show up at your meeting, just letting you know.
Okay.
So they were okay with it.
Great, understood. Anybody, have questions from the board?
I don't think so.
I have no issue with that.
Okay, Mr. Commissioner, anything that you want to weigh in here? Not, certainly not necessary. You had any analysis or thoughts there?
No, they're doing the right thing and that's what they're here for.
Okay, gotcha. How did it come to your attention? Was it some kind of enforcement issue? You know, how'd you find out that, that there was an issue that you needed a special permit for this?
We had the commissioner's card at our door and we don't know what happened along the way for that to happen. But yeah, as I said, we got bad advice before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent, but now you're in touch with the building department and,
Yes.
and we're satisfied, the building department's satisfied that we're on track.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, fantastic. Let's open it for, public comment unless anybody has any, other questions that they want to cover them with. I don't see anybody really else in the audience here. Let me see, anybody online that want to be heard on this issue? Hearing none, I don't have any further questions, no further questions, gone. Yeah, that's right. That's the next thing we're gonna do. We're gonna panel now. We only have 5 members, that are here. All 5 members, being Mr. Perry, Mr. Sari, and myself, the chair, Dr. Warnig, Mr. Levine, and Ms. Janice will be your panel tonight. So we can open up, for discussion, you know, and I guess what I'd say is, like, first of all, I commend the applicants, you know, for taking the neighborly approach and going and talking to all the neighbors and making sure, especially the direct abutters. It is a tough, interesting lot. Not a whole heck of a lot of options for sure, given the location of the cesspools and septic and just the configuration of the lot here. I think that puts them in a tough position about being able to, you know, have an area to enjoy. This is significantly close, you know, to, especially in the back, you know, which is, it does have pause for concern. You know, I think it's only what, 4.4 feet from the back lot line. That's what it looks like here. Only 7.1 from the side, but it sounds like we do have support from the direct abutters on either side. I'm not sure I have an issue with this, you know, it is close, very close to the edge. I think that had there been, concerns, you know, and looking at, the Google Maps here also, it does look like you have some good screening, you know,
Yeah.
in between, you know, where you're placing the deck, you know, to
And
the other property lines.
They treat that, that like strip of their land, that long strip of the one wildflower lane, they sort of treat that as an extension of their other property that's right next to it. So it's basically feels like one big lawn going up to their big house. So it truly does not feel like we're right on top of someone or right in someone's face.
Anybody else have comments? Okay. Okay.
I'm happy to take a stab at this one. We'll start with the deck decision. Reviewing her last decision.
We haven't quite made the decision yet, though, Doc.
Right.
So, let's, is there further
Jump
discussion that
again.
we wanna have on the matter, from anybody's
I was
perspective?
just gonna say, behind the house, I guess I didn't look at Google Maps, is there woods behind, where the proposed deck is?
I don't think so. I was just
Uh,
looking.
maybe-
It's not woods, but it's like part of our neighbor's property that is like plantings and stuff. So, they're actually like arborvitae and stuff, so it's not a forest, but it is, sufficiently covered.
Aida, you have any comments or,
No,
okay?
You know my comments.
If you wanna make a motion. We'll certainly entertain
So
that.
what would the required language in the motion be?
Although it invades the setbacks, but it doesn't, I guess that's the 401.77. Right? As creating the setbacks, but it does creating a more disconformity, I guess.
Yeah, I think we just wanna, we would have to have a finding of, that this doesn't, more substantially derogate, the neighborhood, right?
That's the main.
I think so, under the normal special permit standard. Is we would have to have a finding that, that meets that, but beyond that, we always condition these to all other approvals by all the town boards. And substantially in conformance with the plan submitted, and we just usually will want to note the date of the plans.
Okay, I move approval of case 2316. What is the date of this? Dated August 8th, 2023, when it's submitted. To construct a deck on a non-conforming lot and in an R40 lot. Conditioned on approval of all other boards, which we've already received, the Board of Health. And
The construction plans are in the application.
construction plans as outlined in the application that we have received and have before us tonight.
Yeah, with a specific finding that this does not otherwise derogate from the character of neighborhood, right? And would that be the language, Aida? I don't have the letter of the rules up in front of me. But I think we do have to have a special finding on that.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to find.
we
Yes,
do.
201.3, right? But otherwise, I would second your motion. Mr. Levine will take it by roll call vote. Ms. Janice?
Aye.
Mr. Perry? Aye. Mr. Sarian?
Yes,
Mr. Levine?
Aye.
Myself, the chair, Josh Warren, aye, that passes unanimously. Doug here has so generously offered to write that decision. He has 14 days to write that decision, at which point you can come and pick it up. And then we'll get that filed. You get that filed and recorded, and then we wait the you have to wait the appeals period first before recording, right? Or no, yeah. Wait the appeals period and then record it, and then best of luck to you. Really appreciate you coming in.
Just one thing that has nothing to do with this. We're expecting a baby in like a month and a half.
Congratulations.
And thank you. Not that, we didn't want to jump on there, yeah. But yeah, is there any like time period that this has to be done within, or like once this ball is kind of rolling, we sort of.
Well, you've already built the deck. I mean, what do you want me to say? You just need to get it recorded. I mean, so the decision will come out in 14 days. You're gonna take that, you're gonna wait your 20 days. Then after the 20-day expiration period for an appeal, you're gonna record it. And then it's between you and the building department.
Okay.
So, yeah, and congratulations and good luck.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
that deck.
Very much.
I don't know which is harder, the building the deck thing or the having the kid thing.
I think I know. I don't think this will
We'll
finish.
find out.
I have two. Good luck. Right. Right, fantastic. It being 8:05, we'll move on to the 7:20 PM continued application of Ilson Machado on behalf of Ramiro Milan, owner, to construct an addition on a pre-existing non-conforming lot in a non-conforming location The property is located at 9 Simpson Road, which is in the R20 zoning district, case number 2310. It's continued from June 13th, 2023, July 11th, 2023, and August 8th, 2023. In a point of order before we talk to the applicant, I believe the last, at least the last meeting, no substantive discussion was held. This was just a continuance. Okay, fantastic. I just want to confirm that since I was not present. Who do we have here on behalf of the applicant?
Evening, members of the board, Josh Fox from Rollins Fox.
I think
That's not you.
not you. No, you jumped the gun. We got one before you. You're another continued application, although I'm looking forward to talking more.
We just heard all the continuances and we got all excited.
We have anybody on online here? Anybody? I know we have a Jay Welch as an attendee.
He's with us.
He's with you. I don't see anybody on behalf of the applicant here. How normally do we handle that?
Really?
A
no-show?
A no-show? When a no-show happens, what typically happens to that? Would we?
Like giving them a quick call, I had the number on the application.
Yeah, how about, I mean,
We don't pick a new date automatically,
No,
so
no,
they'll
no.
have to come in.
Right, so I mean, they could still potentially attend via Zoom if they hop on. They got the invite. Let me give them a call, see if I can get in touch with them, and see where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, we are at 8:07, so
right, so
certainly we're well within our rights to actually see the very eager counselor. And let's do that. So having nobody here, Manny, thank you for trying to reach out to the applicant. I expect this might be a continuance of that case, but it being 8:07 with no show from the 7:20 PM case for case 23-10, we're gonna move on to the 7:25 PM. I'm sorry, I have a very hard time with background noise. Sorry. Thank you. It being 7:25 PM, we're gonna move on to the continued application of Joshua Fox, attorney agent on behalf of Herb Chambers owners to create service bays for customer drop off and additional storage. This property is located at 533 Boston Post Road, which is in the limited commercial zoning district, case number 23-01. Continued from February 14th, 2023, March 21st, 2023, April 11th, 2023, May 30th, 2023, June 13th, 2023, July 11th, 2023, and August 8th, 2023. And Counselor, are you looking for a continuance time?
Oh,
Welcome back.
thank you. I'm still Josh Fox for the record, Rollins and Fox. Here on the application, we've submitted a couple of reiterations of the plans. You have the most recent one, but we haven't gone over it. There's one change that the Conservation Commission asked for. It's back here. These were 8 regular parking spaces here, striped perpendicular to the way. Those were in a 30-foot buffer zone, which the Conservation Commission prefers that nothing happen in. So despite the fact that we previously had parking there, they asked us to pull it back. So we eliminated those 8 parking spaces, and now we have 3 parallel spaces instead. So we lost 4 parking spaces, and we pulled all the way out of the 30-foot no-touch zone. We've got no other changes to the plans.
But Conservation Commission's happy.
Conservation Commission is happy. They closed, they voted, they issued the order of conditions. I think I've already recorded it at the Registry of Deeds.
Wonderful.
That happened last month.
2 months ago, I think, and then we just recorded it, I think, a couple weeks ago. Okay.
Yes,
Anything further that we need to understand or?
I don't think so. We put forth a lot of information. We put in a robust application and justified that we met all the statutory criteria for all the relief.
So I have one question actually, since I was modernizing myself, the light dimming concept.
Yes,
So how is it gonna work?
so all lights are dark sky compliant. All lights are on dimmers and they're on timers. So they're essentially set during closed hours to reduce by, is it 50%?
50?
50%.
So do we have the requisite people here to render your decision?
Indeed, you do, inclusive of Aida. You have 4.
We have four, and so you'd want to proceed on the basis of four?
Yes,
Yes.
I would like to proceed on the basis of 4.
Okay,
I don't
yeah,
think
because
we're-
that was just, I know Mr. Perry, has not been here, being a new member for the recitation of dates that we held on this matter. I would be very happy to move forward on that basis, as well. Get you out of here before Thanksgiving.
Thank you, we would appreciate that very much.
Excellent. Any questions from the board?
I think we
The only
covered it.
question I had, the light dimming situation that I wanted to know how far down it's gonna go or how it's gonna. So I'm satisfied with that.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we'll, I guess, open it up for one last opportunity for any public comment. There is literally nobody left here except for the building commissioner in the building. And I don't see anybody else online either. No one's raising their hand. So we will close the testimony part of the hearing here. Point of order on these on these kind of permits is, what is this? What's the exact, this isn't a special permit, this is the just, can I get the appropriate language under which, this is a site plan approval process?
It's site plan approval and special permits and necessary variances.
And necessary variances, are there aren't any variances that we're looking for?
There is, at least one variance with respect to open space.
Okay, maybe we should go through, and I don't have that in front of me, that document.
What is that document?
That is like one of the earlier documents that you submitted, I believe, right, that would actually be listing what.
I did submit a complete memorandum with the original application, which goes through, all of the relief.
Cause we should review through that.
There are, areas where one might say special permit or one might say variance, I'm not sure. So I usually ask for everything. But I do know that there is a variance for open space because we are currently in compliance and the application is gonna be out of compliance.
Okay, so let me try to figure out, because I think we do need to review that. Where's the? Would this be a modification in your view, Counselor, to the prior?
It is, yes.
Okay,
We've got that noted in the memorandum as well.
let me just,
The original.
I've got it up here, I believe, the application, which includes the memorandum. You're talking about the January 13th memorandum.
January of 14, I think it is, yes.
Okay, wonderful. And I'm just making sure that the relief being sought, modification to the zoning board of appeals, ZBA, decision number 9516, relief from 100-foot front rear side by side imposed by the wind. Okay. Relief from maximum lot coverage. Special permit for work within the floodplain overlay district. Special permit for soil movement. With traffic impact report. This is what it is. Okay. Just want to make sure we do this correctly for you. And I don't have a lot of experience in the site plan approval process here. Wasn't there something with the signage as well? Counselor?
No, there's no proposed change to the signage at this time, other than
That would be a separate application.
correct.
I think that's what we discussed, right?
Yes, we're actually eliminating a Bentley blade sign on the side of the building,
Okay,
so we're reducing signage.
reducing signage, okay, wonderful. And we're not really looking for any additional setback relief, are we?
So, there's an analysis of front, east side, west side, and rear yard setbacks. We are not encroaching further into any setback other than, that which we already have. With the exception of side yard, if you don't treat east and west together. If you don't treat east and west together, it looks like, the west side setback is a little bit closer, approximately 5 feet to the side lot line.
But certainly
That exists.
well within, you know, you're well within, you're not going into, you're not encroaching any for non-conformity
We
to the
are,
zoning.
no, we are,
You are.
only on the west side yard setback, and the westerly butter happens to be Burke Chambers.
Right, okay,
So it's this applicant.
perfect.
If we combine the lots, there'd be no setback approach.
Okay, understood. And then 20% lot coverage. And the relief from 20% lot coverage, that can be done by the special permit.
Yeah, no, they are.
Parking relief pursuant to. And how many parking spaces is it gonna be, Counselor?
I think we're at 114 with the elimination of the 5. I think we were at.
Yes, I believe it's
I think we were at 1.
And what were we before the count, before all this?
We are almost exactly,
So we're down to 114. The existing site has 114 spaces striped on it, and then previous proposed was 119.
the decision also, which we're modifying, allowed up to 119 parking spaces.
Okay. Gotcha. And, but the substantial, as far as, the number of people that are gonna be expected on site, you know, and such are gonna be, you know, not,
We are not expecting any material increase in intensity of the
Okay.
use. We're not expecting any additional employees. It's just gonna allow for the more efficient addressing of automobile repairs. They're gonna have service technicians able to work on a couple of bays at a time.
okay. Gotcha. So, in your view, that the parking is adequate?
Yes. We are in the automobile industry, always looking for more parking, but, you know, as we went through the application process and worked with you and worked with the planning board and worked with the conservation commission, there was a suggestion that if we're adding on to the building, we shouldn't be adding additional asphalt as well.
And then we, as far as the traffic impact assessment, there was some level of traffic impact assessment done, not a formal assessment, but.
Did you do a one-page analysis?
Yeah, I believe there was a 2-page write-up,
Okay.
generation
We did.
based on.
Okay, so you're not looking for a waiver
Oh,
anymore? I mean, 'cause
well,
that,
I think the informal analysis might not meet your technical criteria, so yes, we're asking for a waiver.
Okay.
But we really aren't expecting additional traffic flow, possibly a few more service vehicles per day.
Hmm.
But on Boston Post Road, it's not, it's de minimis.
understood. Okay.
So do you have to go through each of these requests for relief?
Well, you know, and certainly, you know, Mr. Sarian and Ms. Janice have probably a little bit better experience in this type of application here. But I would assume our responsibility is to, you know, make sure we kind of go through the individual relief being sought and at least have a discussion on the record about that and find the appropriateness of those individual pieces. Would that be correct? Yeah, so, you know, I think the relief being sought here, I mean, first of all, I commend the applicant for a very complete, very thorough process. The cooperative nature, you know, of the process here has been excellent, you know, even ensuring that Conservation Commission is being satisfied and holding off on this process until we had some finality over there, I think is
you know, I think everything we've asked, we've seen concessions and cooperation on, which has been excellent. I don't think this is a bad design overall. I think we just, you know, in my view, I'd be supportive, but I think we need to make sure that the relief being sought is appropriate here. So maybe we should just kind of go through that application, that January 13th memorandum of application for the relief being sought and kind of go down through. And so modification to the zoning board of appeals decision 95-16. Yeah, I understand that this will be a modification of that. The relief from the 100-foot front, rear and side yard setbacks imposed by, well, I think to the extent that they're already being provided for under the prior decision, fine. I do understand there's an encroachment relative to that west side. To me, that just seems to make sense, you know, as far as especially with the abutter and the common interest or ownership thereof. I don't think that this is going to be substantially detrimental or change the character of that area. So I'd be in support of providing that relief. I don't know if people want to chime in as we go down through here, so we don't have to kind of circle back. But if there's something people want to say on these individual items of relief. But I think that's the only zoning relief you're actually asking for in addition to the prior special permit. Is that correct, Counselor? Is that west side?
That and maximum lot coverage.
The maximum lot
Open
coverage.
space, yes.
Yeah, and again, right, so we're gonna be going up to 26.6%. I mean, given the nature of the property and its historic use and prospective potential use, I think it's appropriate. I don't see a problem here, especially given that, you know, with working with Concom and other concerns, making sure that, you know, some of these other areas that are maybe a little more sensitive on that property are protected. It seems to make sense to me. Anybody have any comments on?
I know, basically, when we follow all the approvals that they got from the Concom and the conservation and things, so basically, you know, for us to there isn't anything that, you know, we have to ask or request furthermore to comply with the application, so basically.
Yeah. I agree. Waiver from the bylaw section 1406.5, which imposes a 50-foot parking lot perimeter setback. Finding the parking figures as shown on the plan submitted is adequate and appropriate. So the waiver's already been provided in the past, right? Pursuant to the 95-16. So
Yes.
this would be a continuation of that, but the new parking configuration is what you need us to have a finding of adequate and appropriate.
Yes.
Okay, so in our motion, we'll need to make sure we have a finding that the parking is, and again, you've convinced me, you know, it makes sense what you've done. Again, working with Concom and making those changes, pulling some of those parallel or perpendicular parking space to make parallel parking spaces. I think that is adequate and appropriate, but we'll make sure we have a special finding to parking. Adequate and appropriate. You already have the special permit for the floodplain overlay district. Is that something
I
new?
don't know if that's referenced in the old decisions, very small area in the floodplain. In the back.
Just bring that to my attention.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very small area. Yes.
So the town's floodplain district, this is the grading plan, but it's pretty much this back corner here.
Okay, it's already disturbed.
Yeah, disturbed and developed now, and it's just a repurposing.
And when you're pointing to this plan for the record, it's plan C4 dated May 18, 2023. And we're looking at the top right-hand corner of the page, which would be the southwest corner.
Yes.
Okay,
It's not even in a federal floodplain, it's just a local.
wonderful.
And just for the record, it was plans dated 5/18/2023, revised 7/21/2023, just so.
Thank you.
we have all of that.
Yeah, no, I think that's important to make sure that's correct here. Special permit for soil movement pursuant to bylaw, section 198-504.
think that's an overlooked requirement that is triggered quite frequently, and like I said, probably overlooked. I mean, there's obviously gonna be some soil being moved around the site, probably a significant amount. We're regrading,
Yeah.
taking up asphalt, putting down new asphalt. So again, it was one of those belt and suspender things where I said, well, why don't we ask for it, even if it's not always highlighted.
Mr. Commissioner, I've just never seen that being asked for. How do we typically deal with that, or how would you like to see that dealt with? As the,
It's typically like a, you know, the soil is already here and then I'm gonna add an additional. That's usually like what you, in some communities, they don't like the dirt going out of town and being sold. So, and I don't think that's happening here. I think they utilize what's on site. If they need more, they're gonna bring in what they need, but not to the extent.
it's not gonna be an
that's
export.
over. That's right, correct.
In some ways, that's, you know, a little more, in your bailiwick than it is, you know, what we're concerned with here, but I want to make sure you're satisfied. So, would you recommend granting, I mean, I guess that's within the bylaw here. I have not read 198, section 504. Anybody have that up?
Yeah, I get it for you. And I also got the special permit section is 203(1). 504 earth movement.
No earth in excess of 5 feet can be removed on any lot. Where's minimum water is? Okay. Okay. So it seems that we would grant, it seems reasonable to grant that, that special permit here. Waiver of the traffic impact report. I agree, you know, given the testimony we've heard and the discussions that we've had to date, I'm satisfied that, the information we've gotten relative to traffic is, sufficient. I don't know if anybody has further discussion or concern there.
No.
Okay, wonderful. Such other relief as may be required by bylaw or is necessary for approval of this project. Okay, we're not providing blanket waivers. But I appreciate the request there. And
I believe we might have glossed over lighting. Although Sean asked about it.
yeah,
Your bylaw, if I recall correctly, has the same setback requirements for lighting as it does for structures. And any typical retail or commercial establishment is likely gonna have light poles within those setbacks, which this project has them in the setbacks right now. And there is additional lighting and replacement lighting proposed within those setbacks as well. So there was a request for relief from that.
right. For the plans and.
For the plans, absolutely.
Yep.
Everything shown on the plans. And I think it's like 100-foot front yard setback here. So you wouldn't technically, for a current brand new project, you couldn't have lighting, parking lot lighting, within 100 feet of the street, which is, I think it's pretty conservative. Anyway, so I had added that request for relief in the application as well.
Understood. Okay. And then coming under section 3, which is again, another relief required, modification decision, okay, fine, for the use of variance. So the continued use and improvement. Right. This don't substantially derogate from the intended purpose of the bylaw, the sale and service of premium quality. So these are continuations of what's in the current decision.
Correct.
Now. Okay. And there's nothing new under that section A, 3A, is there? That would be additive to the new
See what
decision?
you're looking at. I have a different version.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's my
Okay.
fault.
I've got a January 13th, 2023 application memorandum from you.
So I have excerpts from that right now.
Oh, gotcha.
And in this 8-inch binder, I can find it.
Yeah, I'm under section 3A, page 2 and 3.
Can I-
That's talking to the modifications, I'm sure. Modifications to decision 95-16. Relief included use variance. And I think that section A is relative to use variance, and I think. I don't think
Correct.
you're asking
So
for
there-
anything new.
No,
Okay.
but what we're looking for, it would be simply a confirmation or a finding that we're not increasing the intensity of use such that we would need additional relief.
I'm sure you need that. Okay, then we have the setback imposed by bylaw. This is the lighting, section B. Gotcha. Talking about all the building setbacks, the buildings, front yard setback that will not change. Okay. Buildings, and here's the west side, yes, the west side's gonna change from 69.1. Then the existing building is from the east side lot, 62.7. Gotcha. I think that's appropriate. The rear yard setback. 85.7, proposed improvements will setback no less than 94. Plus minus from the rear yard lot line. Okay.
Yes, so, Mr. Chairman, on the front, east, and the rear, the east doesn't change at all, but on the front and the rear, there are existing encroachments into the setbacks.
Right.
And so what I've articulated here is that there are encroachments as part of the addition, but they're not, but they're further set back than the existing encroachments. So
Understood.
that's what I was trying to articulate.
Yep. You know, and I think you articulate that well. I appreciate that clarification. Good. And the language in here relative to the lighting for section 198-501. 100-foot unit setbacks, yep, I would agree, that if we enforce that, that would be, ineffective and unsafe. Okay. Good. I think we've dealt with lot coverage. Parking, I think we've talked about, I do think that is adequate and, appropriate, you know, with the design. Probably doesn't abut any residential areas.
Does not.
Already exists adequate screen between this property and the property to the east. Yeah, the adequate, the adjacent properties to the south and west are owned by Herb Chambers, which supports this project. Yes. Special permit to work within the floodplain overlay district. That area is already disturbed, already been, as you've shown, and in fact, you pulled some of it back even further. So we're actually reducing the impact in that area and doing some restoration, if you will. Okay, wonderful. That makes sense. Special permit for soil movement. Is requested for earth move in excess of 1,500 yards. I think it's a requirement of 500. I think I was just reading. So yes, that makes sense. I do think that would be appropriate and needed for the project. Good. And the traffic impact assessment waiver. Makes sense to me as well. Project impact. Okay. Anything else? I mean, I think all this looks appropriate, you know, I'm not sure, how to fashion the motion there,
Here's
but-
some language, special permit 2023.
Yeah, I mean, we're not under the special permit, this would be what is it, site, what I just.
Site plan approval.
Site plan approval.
This is site plan
And special.
plus special permits, plus modification, plus variance.
Okay, now how do we make that motion? I think we're adopting all of the recommendations within this memorandum here. You know, so, the motion is gonna be in keeping with the memorandum, discussion here with with, as modified by subsequent, discussions, you know, with the changes in parking. How do we have a clean record on that? All right, Doug, you're up. Put a motion in.
We need to capture it all.
Okay. So I would propose that we grant the site plan approval and pursuant to the documents and plans as furnished by the applicant. I'm not sure what the latest plans, if they have a single date on them that I could reference, or because I think the challenge is there's gonna be some changes to individual sheets, right?
The plan set itself, July 21st, 2023 is the latest revision date for all plans.
That was full submission?
That was a full submission of the entire package of all the plans.
July
21st, 2023.
July 21st, 2023. Okay, so pursuant to plans with the revision date of July 21st, 2023. And grant the special permit for the relief sought, and specifically with findings that parking is adequate and appropriate. And the relief for, let me get back to the page here, just left it for some reason. Including the relief for the side yard setback. That's pursuant to the plans, though. Relief for the maximum lot coverage pursuant to the plans. Waiver, the bylaw section 1406.5, which imposes 50-foot parking lot perimeter setback. So that would be, would that be a variance, that piece of it? Being a waiver?
The lighting is, yes,
The lighting is a waiver, that'd be a variance, and
lighting is
so,
variance.
and so with the
Lot
parking,
coverage is variance, parking is special permit.
okay,
The other variance would be the west side setback.
parking.
Why is that a variance?
I don't think the west side setback is,
Goes further.
that'd be a special permit, right? Or, you know,
No, the west side presently complies with the setback, and it will not comply as proposed. So, oh, it doesn't?
It doesn't apply, we're just close to the points.
so I think that can be done with the amendment to the special permit.
So the difference between that side and the rear and the front is that, on the west side, we're actually going further into the side yard setback than at present, as opposed to the front and the rear. We already have greater encroachments than that which is proposed. If you tell me that in your experience, you think that's special permit, that's okay, but one could argue that when you have an existing encroachment and you increase that encroachment or get closer to the side yard lot line, you might need a variance.
I don't think so, because we have encroached in a setback further. Although like, there's a language that says that although it, in, you know, I just couldn't find the thing that although it, adds the non-conformity, but it does not, so.
It's not creating the nonconformity, it's increasing the nonconformity.
Correct.
And so, yeah, if that's the case, it's special permit. I think that's what we've discussed in other cases, maybe not under the site plan approval process here.
I'm fine with that. That's the policy and that's how you have decided in the past. That's fine.
Does that sound reasonable to people here? I'm a little bit, I'm on a little shaky ground here, not having been through this previously and without town council to help guide. I want to make sure that what we do here is gonna be adequate and, you know, stand tall, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, let me try again. You know, I think, you know, the motion is gonna be simply that, we're gonna grant the site plan approval subject to, the plans revised as of July 21st, 2023. We're gonna, grant, do we have to do these separate votes? So site plan approval, special permit votes, and then variance votes? Would that be the most appropriate way to go? I mean, in your experience.
In my experience, you can vote them together or you can separate them.
Okay, let's try to do it all together. You know, so granting the site plan approval pursuant to the plans July 21st, 2023. You know, certainly, the special, excuse me, the variances that we would, be looking to, grant would be, relative to the, parking and lighting as set forth in the proposal here, in the application.
I
And
don't believe you need a variance from parking, Mr. Chairman.
I thought that's what you said. I thought
Lighting and lot coverage.
lighting and block coverage. Yeah, so change that to,
Parking is a waiver for a finding.
okay. Okay. Site plan approval pursuant to July 21st, 2023 plans, variances for block coverage as requested and for lighting as discussed herein. And we are looking for special permit as it relates to the side yard setback on the west. And waiver of the 50-foot parking lot perimeter setback. The special findings that the parking is both adequate and appropriate. Special permit for work within the floodplain overlay. And granting of the special permit for soil movement pursuant to bylaw sections 198-504. In addition to a waiver of traffic impact report pursuant to bylaw section 198-1405. This would certainly be in keeping and be conditioned to all other board approvals. To the extent that you don't have those at this juncture and with the plans filed herewith.
You got it all?
Did you catch modification in that, to the decision, 95-16?
Believe I did, but let's make that express. You know, certainly that's what we're looking to do is modifying the decision 95-16, you know, herein.
Thank you, sorry.
I'll second that.
Thank you,
Brief
Mr.
motion.
Levine. We have a 4-person panel, so Mr. Perry will sit out on this. Let's go around the horn here, Mr. Levine.
Aye.
Ms. Janice,
Aye.
Mr. Sarian. Joshua Warnig, the chair, aye. That passes unanimously. Counselor, I appreciate your patience and your diligence. We really do thank you for the process here. Could we impose upon you?
Yes.
I knew that was coming.
Attorney Fox has been very gracious in the past in drafting.
And
Yes.
I would ask that maybe you prepare the first draft. And then I will, I'll take the next cut on it.
I will do so. There was a time in Wayland where applicants always wrote the draft decisions.
What a beautiful time that was.
Really?
May we go back to such times, so.
Only when they were presented by council.
Well, I guess you're right.
That'd be wonderful. You know the drill, though. The sooner you get that to us, we're
Yes.
gonna be able to, you know, get that, and would love to apply with the 14 days if we can, and then.
I would too,
20
but
days.
I'm certainly liberal with extensions for that, in part due to the fact that I'm drafting.
Understood, and
But thank you. We appreciate the collaboration with the board as well.
yeah, we do appreciate the, you know, just the process and you, you know, being as cooperative as you have been through this, so thank you. And with that, I think we're good, right? Go in peace. We'll look for that draft, send that directly to my town email as well as the zba@wayland.ma.us.
Got it.
Perfect. Thank you all.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
I would do it. Motion
Any-
to adjourn.
Seconded. I will second that, Mr.
Oh.
Levine.
Oh,
The case beforehand,
yes.
there was no one here for, Ramiro, the applicant.
Oh, wonderful. I'm sorry, Mr. Milan, I didn't mean to try to shoo you off here,
No, it's all good,
Sure.
Commissioner. It's all good. We just, I thought my contractor was gonna be on, the GC was gonna be on for the call, but he wasn't, unfortunately. So yeah, in short, we just need a continuance. We're trying to get all our ducks in a row. It's, summer months and trying to get people on vacations to give us estimates has been really difficult. But I think we need another month and we'll have everything what we need and then we can proceed forward. But we have a good plan that's gonna, I believe it's gonna work really well for the ZBA if needed. There's a chance we don't even need ZBA, so which is even better,
Oh.
right?
Yeah, even better, right?
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. So our next hearing, Ms. Milan, is October 10th, Tuesday. And I believe we have 4 matters on at this juncture. And so this would be 7:45, 25.
7:30.
Let's call it 7:30.
Okay,
So for October 10th, does that sound amenable to you?
it's amazing. Yeah, it works for me. So hopefully by within the next 10 days, we'll have everything we need. So it's just a matter of just getting everything correct. Long story short, we just need to get everyone's estimates. We're almost there. It just pushes out every single month. So
Yep, understood. I appreciate, your patience with this process as well. So
we appreciate it.
I'll move that we, yes, Manny.
Just any additional materials you send in, please send it through email so I can forward to board. Without
Yeah, I'll let our contractor know. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be great. So I would move that we continue this hearing, being hearing number 23-10. Thank you very much, Mr. Levine, to a date and time certain of Tuesday, October 10th at 7:25 p.m.
Second.
So 7:30, excuse me. Seconded by Mr. Levine. Thank you. We'll take it by roll call vote. Mr. Perry. Aye. Mr. Sarian. Aye. Mr. Levine.
Aye.
Ms. Janice.
Aye.
Mr. Warner, the chair, we will see you, on the 10th, Mr. Milan, and good luck, and Godspeed there. And, I think there's some paperwork maybe coming through email or something for you to sign as far as the continuance is concerned. Have a great night. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Take care, folks.
And
Thank you.
Renewed motion.
Mr. Levine's renewed motion, I will second, for adjournment. I will take that by roll call vote. Mr. Perry. Aye. Mr. Sarian. Aye. Ms. Janice.
Aye.
Mr. Levine.
Aye.
Mr. Warren, the chair, aye. Ayes have it. Have a great night, everybody. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Continued. Done.
This is your daughter?